Hey folks, it's time for FrugalPrepper. I want to talk a little bit about being on a keto, mostly carnivore diet. One of the most annoying things is sugar burners. I mean, they're everywhere. Like, most of the people are eating sugar and burning sugar, and they don't understand. They can't fathom when you say, I'll go to lunch with you, but I'm just going to get an iced tea, and I'll sit and talk, right? I don't want to eat. Because you're not hungry, so why are you going to eat, right? And I've even had people offer pay for my lunch because I think I can't afford it, or and it's like, no, it's not that. I'm not hungry. Like, oh, are you sick? Like, no, I'm not sick. I'm just not hungry. And they can't fathom that because they eat their Cheerios for breakfast, and then they get to work and they're like, man, I'm hungry. They find a bagel or a donut. And then they go to lunch, and then after lunch, you're like, man, I'm hungry again. They go hit the vending machine, and they're just constantly, their blood sugar and their insulin's in a constant struggle, and they get hungry, right? And they don't understand, no, I'm not hungry, right? They don't understand, I'm in ketosis, and I feel great right now, and I don't want to break my ketosis, and I don't want to eat, and I don't... and finding stuff to eat can be somewhat of a challenge at certain places, finding fatty cut of meat, not always easy to do at a lot of places. I mean, you can always grab some hamburger patties at the McDonald's or whatever, but yeah, a lot of people just don't understand, I don't want to eat. So I tend to avoid going to lunch with people that I don't know. Because even if I do eat, I usually eat different food, and people look at you like, oh, that's not healthy. Why are you putting all that salt on your food? I carry my own personal salt shaker of Redmond's real salt, and I load it up on there, and I'm getting 4 hamburger patties, dripping with grease, preferably, right? And they don't understand that. And I try to explain it to people. Man, sometimes you just want to have lunch. You just don't want to have to go all into it again, and then hear oh, but your cholesterol, oh, but this, oh, but that, and you just constantly, and then they think you're crazy, right? They think you're crazy, and they don't realize they don't have to be hungry all the time either. Even yesterday, my wife's mostly keto, but she eats some dairy and some cookies and stuff now and then, but she doesn't have a weight problem. But even yesterday, my son and my wife, they wanted to stop and get something to eat. I'm like, I'm fine, right? And then she got some chicken bowl thing, and then she's like, well, I'm going to see if they got a lid for it. Great, they don't have any lids. I don't want to eat the rest of it, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, fine, I'll eat the chicken, right? Just to make you happy, because I'm not hungry. Really, you'd be better off just to waste the money and throw the rest of the food in the trash can if you're not hungry anymore. It's not worth saving the food and making somebody eat it because it was expensive if it causes you to be fat, overweight, diabetic, and have heart disease, cancer, and dementia, and everything else. It's not worth it. So, another thing is I hear well, what about the cost of that food? I mean, and it's not cheap. Pasture-raised eggs aren't cheap. Even just, I don't get grass-fed, I just get beef. But beef's not cheap, meat's expensive. But back when I was in the height of my diabetes and on all these medications and insulins and concentrated insulins, I was spending $400 or $500 a month on just my prescriptions, not to mention all my doctor visits and copays. I had a primary care doctor, I had a cardiologist, I had an endocrinologist, I had a nephrologist / blood pressure specialist, I had a gastroenterologist, right? And all I did was go to doctor's appointment and hand out copays. So I'm looking at $400 or $500 in copays every month, $400 or $500 in prescriptions. You can buy a lot of truck rolls for that amount of money. And you'll feel better than any prescription will ever make you feel, right? There is no magic pill that's going to make you lose weight and be healthy. You can't do it by adding something. You have to take something away. Refined carbohydrates, sugars, and seed oils. Seed oils is the last thing I wanted to give away, but I gave it away, and wow, has it made a difference. I find that I have to take my glasses off every once in a while because I think my prescription's too strong now or something, but I get some eye strain. So I'm going to have to go back to the eye doctor, but I'm seeing incredibly well. And I just feel really good. And sometimes you get a carbohydrate craving. Those are becoming less and less and fewer and farther in between. I'm doing pretty good getting off the artificial sweeteners. I still have a can or two of Diet Mountain Dew a day, but I was going through a 24-pack in a day, like the whole family, not just me, but and so that's been a big improvement, and soon I think I'm just going to be able to give it up. It doesn't taste as good now that I don't drink it all the time. So that'll be another thing that's going to be an advantage. But yeah, I went yesterday, we rode roller coasters and roller coasters and roller coasters, and then coasters started going down and coming back up and going down again, and then, but we just stayed in roller coasters, had fun. It started getting busy around 5 o'clock or so when the school kids got there, and then it closed at 7. My back hurt pretty bad by the time I got out of there, but I woke up this morning and it felt great again. So, and I just, I ate breakfast at like 6:30 in the morning, and just a nice high-fat breakfast and all meat, and then had a little bit of chicken around 2, and then when I got home, I just had some chuck roast, some hamburger patties, some eggs, like a little bit of everything, a nice big meal, and then I went to sleep and I rested, So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, the Frugal Prepper.